Blog Talk Radio.
All right, we're having a little bit of problem with the switchboards, but I guess we'll just jump into the show. Tonight we are going to have the Minnesota Bigfoot research on the show tonight. We're going to be interviewing him and asking him a little bit about his show tonight, or about his team. And we are going to be doing pretty much like an interview show tonight. Don Keating was supposed to join us tonight. I'm not sure if he could make it or not, but he should be calling in. And we have Becky and Tim on the lines with us right now also.
Yep.
Hey, what's up? And I'm going to start off with a little bit of news while I wait for Brent and Don to call in. Russian Bigfoot expedition postponed due to weather conditions. The expedition that went looking for Bigfoots in a cave in the mountains of Siberia has so far been fruitless, but its organizers blame the weather for failure and say that they will return in the summer. Earlier this week, an expedition headed by the Yeti specialist Igor Burstov set off to explore for several kilometers long cave in the Kemerovo region. Where local hunters reported to have seen the creatures, the expedition returned to Moscow without any success. I don't know if you guys have been following up on that. Lauren Coleman's website's been posting a little bit up on the Siberia Bigfoot research that's been going on down there. In other news, Florida UFO reports are actually on the rise. Florida witnesses reported 9 UFO incidents over a 12-day span, including one triangular-shaped low-fly object, one large UFO followed by 3 smaller ones, a spherical object moving below a passenger jet, and bright spirals of light. Full reports of multiple orange lights were also reported in the sky. I guess there's a major UFO sightings flap.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And all right, we're getting into some pretty weird ones here. I got one specifically for Becky on here. It goes with that Einstein robot she used to talk about. Anyways, UFO files, photographs of UFO next to an RAF jet. Witnesses saw the mysterious large diamond-shaped object hanging in the air for about 10 minutes before it ascended vertically at high speed. Military experts concluded that the aircraft was a Harrier, but could not identify the UFO despite apparently commissioning detailed line drawings of it. Fearing there would be significant media interest, the M.O.D. took the unusual step of briefing ministers about the sighting. The incident also discloses that British military intelligence officers tasked with investigating UFO reports took a close interest in the claims that the U.S. was developing a top-secret spy plane. The sighting is included in the military UFO documents made available online today at the National Archives. I don't know, I thought that was kind of cool.
I think it was pretty cool.
Yeah, waiting for Brent. This next one's good for him. But, anyways. Yeah, I have 3 more stories left. I guess I'm going to do our top story for today, then I'm going to go on to Becky's story, because that's one of the best ones. Published March 20th, 2009. A large noise was heard shortly after 3 a.m. Friday morning in Aikman, Richmond, and Columbia counties. Local law enforcement agencies reported hearing a boom, but no one knows what caused it. Chris Turner, an Aiken County resident, told WJBF News Channel 6 what he saw and heard in a phone interview. Many people in Aiken reported seeing a fireball from the sky hit the ground, immediately followed by military helicopters and personnel. So I guess it's supposed to be a UFO crash out there.
Yeah.
This one is for Becky. Computer programmer in Finland lost his finger in a motorcycle crash and replaced it with a USB hard drive. I don't really know. I thought that was kind of funny.
Wait, what?
A guy got in a motorcycle accident and he got the end of his finger replaced with a USB drive.
Oh, all right. That sounds pretty weird.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, Tim, would you talk a little about the team news really quick while I try to get a hold of Brent?
Yeah. Well, again, our team news, we're still planning for our giant Parator trip later this summer. It's like the biggest trip that we take each year. This year we're supposed to stay on the West Coast again. We're supposed to do several different types of investigations. They range from ghost investigations to like Sasquatch even to a vampire creature. But yeah, and then other team news, we're trying to get to, like, the whole team to get together again so we could, like, have a really like deep like discussion of where we really need to go to, like, to find new cryptids and ghost investigations.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not a whole lot in team news though.
Well, I guess we'll get on with tonight's show a little bit. Right now on the phone we have the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team. You there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Yeah, I know that we've had you on the show a couple times before as guests and just as a caller, but I know tonight we're going to focus in on you and your team and do a little bit of interviews. And I would just like to start by saying, could you say a little background information on your team and some of the places you've been and just a little bit of background information?
Not a problem. Well, the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team, I guess, started back in the year 2000. That's when I personally been doing a lot of research and investigating myself on the recent hot spots and hot areas, I guess, that was happening around in the Midwest. Come to find out that it was all happening in Ohio at that time, back in 2001, and again continued back in 2002. And actually, till this day, there's a lot of happenings out in Ohio right now as well as in here in Minnesota and some of the areas that we have been starting. The team consists of five of us, and hopefully growing to more. All of us, you know, range in different ages, and I guess you could say levels of, educational levels of knowing different things about Bigfoot and stuff like that. Everybody in the team brings something different to the table as far as research and stuff like that, which makes, you know, a team, a really good team that I think we do have. We've been to, like I said, Ohio and basically in Minnesota doing our research. And back in 2001, that's when I had my first encounter with Bigfoot. Was in Ohio, Wills Creek area, Coshocton County, Ohio, and that's basically where I got chased by one, and one of my team members seen the creature running after me, and one of my ex-team members at that time, and chased us. And we heard the big noise and everything. We were walking down from the car. Heard the noise, like a big tree or something being broken, and so we kind of looked at each other and started running back. Well, my buddy, my current team member of the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team, was in the car. He had a higher point of view, and he seen this creature in the woods running after us. At that time, you know, I didn't know not to run from a Bigfoot. It was, you know, the first encounter, I guess you say, that we had by a Bigfoot. And my buddy that was in the car, says it was running real fast and hiding from behind tree to tree as it was progressing towards me and my friend that was running. Well, so I stopped and I says, well, you know, this could be one of a lifetime chance to get this thing on picture. At that time, I had, you know, all kind of gear on me, a Polaroid camera, some other stuff as well. So I stopped and turned around and put the Polaroid camera open, and I'm waiting for this creature to come running out of the woods. My buddy that's up in the car watching this thing come running after me, and my friend at that time says, "What are you doing? Don't stop. It's right behind you. Keep running." And I looked at him, and by his facial expressions, his eyes were as big as saucers, and he himself looked like he was seeing a ghost. And so I guess seeing him and the seriousness in his voice, I closed the camera and caught up to my buddy that didn't stop running, and we got in the car and we got out of that area and went back later on that night just to hang out and see if we could hear anything, but we couldn't, so we pursued into the next area and everything like that. And the spot that I was at where we had the encounter was called Sasquatch Valley. After the encounter, we asked around at the general store that was there by Wills Creek, and to tell you the truth is that's when I first heard of Don Keating of the Eastern Ohio Bigfoot. So he had a card there, and the guy gave us the card and says, get a hold of this guy. He does Bigfoot investigating and stuff like that. So we tried calling Don at the time, and I don't know if he got his number changed or something around that time, but could not get a hold of him. And now, just today, me and Don sent emails back and forth and everything like that. So I was kind of hoping he'd be able to make it on, too, as well. And because I could, definitely confirm that he does a lot of good work. He just finished up a little documentary that I should probably wait for him just in case he does get on the show and let him explain a little bit more about that.
Yeah. We have somebody right now that's asking us, could you explain the Bigfoot a little better, the one that chased you guys?
Explain its characteristics and height, I take it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, not a problem. Be happy to. My buddy said that it was approximately about 7.5 feet tall. It had reddish brown, kind of rust color hair. The skin on it was kind of a darkish, kind of a darker tan color, kind of matching its like an orangutan color, but lighter than that. I'd say he said it was. It was really hairy. He said it was one of the fastest things he's ever seen. The forehead was very pronounced. The eyes were pretty well sunken back up in there. Dark eyes, and we could not, usually they emit a smell, but at that time we had the wind in our faces and the back towards it, so we couldn't smell nothing like that. Yeah. We were just booking to the car. He said that he only seen one of them, which I believe because I only heard one set of footsteps. And he said it was probably about 20 yards behind us as we were running back towards the car. Yeah. So the thing was, that's the closest I've been to a Bigfoot yet that I know of. And, so it was one thing we'll never forget. Also in 2001, in a different area of Ohio, we did find a footprint that was about 18 inches long, 18 to 19 inches long, 7 inches wide across the toes, 4 inches wide at the heel. It was a really impressive find that was leading down into this little valley area. And once we got down into the valley area, we also found smaller Bigfoot footprints as well. So that kind of led us to believe that there was a family living down in the area. So we went down there and researched it out. And we had our two-way radios on, and I happened to drop mine somewhere. So I said to the other guy, well, press the call button so I can follow the sound. And so I did. And, when I got to the area where the sound was coming from the two-way radio, it was like there was something right there in the woods making a lot of sound or something like that. It was just a really restless sound of the woods. Again, I didn't smell nothing, so I couldn't say it was a Sasquatch. I didn't see it. I couldn't tell you if it was a Sasquatch at the time. But the way that the sound was a really heavy sound of leaves, vigorous shaking. So that's what I did see, is the leaves shaking in this bush, I guess you could call it, very vigorously. So I grabbed that, got back out of there again. Now that, years have gone by and experience has gained, I wish I would have stayed there and had the guys come back to where I was so we could check it out.
Yeah. Well, also, someone's asking us right now, they're just saying, how often do you guys all go out and do, field research and all that sort of thing?
Oh, wow. Well, this whole month, every weekend so far this whole month, I've been out on expeditions. And every weekend, except for one, we've had not vocalizations, but wood knocking and responses. On the 8th of this month, I should say, it was me, our new team member that you guys probably see in the chat room there, Squitch.
Yeah.
Another guy who goes by the name of the First Billy Jack, who's on YouTube. I and another guy that's thinking about joining us here. His name is Monster Quest. He goes by the name of Monster Quest on YouTube. It was just basically, and my little brother, we call him Trax, is his name. But Monster Quest did have to leave because he had his grandson with him and didn't want to. He was getting tired out. So to make a long story short, we were doing some wood knocking and call blastings in this wooded area in Stacy, Minnesota, called Carlos Avery Wildlife Game Preserve. And we got to this one area which looked really good, so we started doing some wood knocking and call blasting. Just in this one area alone, we got over 15 responses back in wood knocking. We've heard 6 wood knocks in a row coming from the same area, which leads us to believe it came from the same creature. Well, in another area, we've also heard 2 wood knockings and also 1 wood knocks as well. That day, I did hear a whistle. Me and my brother Trax and Squitch both heard something coming towards us, but never showed itself towards us, to us. And we also found hairs that we can't identify that are waiting to be having the morphology looked at by Monster Quest on the History Channel producer, Doug Hijacked. So, we've really gotten lucky with the hairs, and the funny thing is about these hairs that they weren't right next to each other like a clump of hair would be, but they were a couple feet apart, but in a small area. So I found 2, and my brother Trax found 2, and Squitch, our new member here, he found 1 himself, and we can't identify them. I mean, I know they're not a dog hair, and I know they're not a horse or a rabbit hair or definitely a bear hair because, well, let's face it, on the 8th, bears were still pretty much in hibernation, kind of. Yeah. And so they definitely weren't wandering around in the woods. Now they're starting to wake up, and yeah, we do carry the bear repellent with us now, and better be safe than sorry is what I like to go by. So, yeah, we do go out, try to go out at least every weekend. Just this today I went out with the First Billy Jack to the same area, and today we got about over 18 wood knocking responses back from us from doing call blasting and wood knocking. Coming from I shouldn't say the same area, but total today in responses we've got about 18 or more responses back.
Yeah, sounds like you guys got a lot of activity, though.
We are having a lot of activity, is right, and I think what it could be is mating season. The guys are restless, and they're trying to find the girls, or I don't know what it is, but there's definitely a lot of activity going on here as far as Bigfoot and whatnot, and not this Sunday, but the Sunday of the 22nd, last Sunday would be, we went out there and we put up a tree camera, a camera trap, along with a bait station. And we got the camera facing where we put the bait station at, and camouflaged the camera to the best that we could with some leaves and whatnot like that. And this coming Sunday, we'll be going out there to retrieve the camera if there's enough photos on it, or leave it out there depending on how many photos there are, or to the battery should be good for at least a whole month. So we're going out there and just basically check on the camera and see if there's anything on it. And if there is some stuff, we might take it down, or we just might leave it a little bit longer.
That's cool. I hope you guys get some.
I know.
The hair you found.
What were you saying, Becky?
I was going to ask about the hair and see if you guys are going to get that analyzed and find out what it really is.
Yeah, I did mention that the hair is waiting to be. I'm waiting to hear from Monster Quest again, from the History Channel. I don't know if you guys ever watched that TV show, Monster Quest.
Yeah,
but,
I watch it every week.
Yeah, religiously. The producer of that, when we first found the hairs, I should say, I was trying to look for Dr. Lynn Rogers at the Wildlife Bear Institute up in Ely, Minnesota. He's been on Monster Quest before doing hair morphology and stuff like that. So I contacted him, and he forwarded my email to the Monster Quest, or a Monster Quest producer that goes by the name of Doug Hijack. Now, I've been talking to Doug about these hairs and everything, so I'm kind of waiting to hear back from him, because he sent me an email with an address that I could send the hairs to, which I've never heard of an address like that before, so I wrote back to him saying, is this the right address? Are you sure it's the right street? And so forth. And so I'm just waiting on a confirmation of the address. So I'm thinking about taking them down to that area to them myself, which is right in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Well, are they going to give you the hairs back when they're done analyzing them, actually, or how's that work?
Well, the thing that to do with the analyzed hairs is that they might have to extract DNA. I think they'll have to cut them up or destroy the hairs to get the DNA out of them. I'm not too sure on how mitochondrial DNA works or anything like that. But as far as what they'll do is they'll definitely take a hair look at the hair's morphology and see if there's any medulla. The medulla is the sponginess of a hair that's in the center of the hair. Now, if there's no medulla, then it's pretty much saying that it's legit. And these hairs are tapered at the end, which pretty much come from a primate. They have tapered hairs. So, if they see no medulla, then, they are probably going, the next step would be doing DNA analysis and stuff like that.
Yeah. Looks we have a caller on the line, and 936, you're on the air.
Oh,
Smiter.
Oh, hey, how's it going? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, I know, it's been a while. I've been reading the YouTube emails back and forth from you guys. Sounds like you had some good responses out there in the woods this weekend.
Yeah, we did. Friday night was the only downfall that we did because me and another team member, Squatchy, and Monster Quest and his wife went out there, just the four of us, doing some call blasting and wood knocking. And the only thing that we've seen was deer eyes. No responses of any, as far as wood knocking or any sounds like that coming back that we would believe that to be from Bigfoot. But, so it wasn't a total loss, I'd say. I mean, it was good for the experience getting out there at the nighttime and doing the call blasting and doing the wood knocking. And the only thing that was freaky was seeing eyes in the field that were blue, but too low to be what we would say, what me and you would say to be Bigfoot.
Right. Well, I was going to make a suggestion on what's worked very well for me either day or night, if you want to try it.
Okay.
Do you have the Sierra CDs?
I did. I played a couple of sounds off of the Sierra CDs that I have gotten off the internet. I do have both of the CDs, Volume 1 and Volume 2. What track were you thinking about in mind especially?
The only one I've played from the Sierra CDs is track 9 from CD 2, where they're trying to speak to Ron and Leo.
Okay.
I played that, and I got very interesting results from that. I mean, they came in very close to me at nighttime, making noises that couldn't be confused with any other wildlife. The other thing I played, and I'll send you the link in YouTube, is a video of a baby laughing. Not crying.
Oh, really?
Laughing. A human baby laughing.
Wow, okay.
It absolutely gets their curiosity aroused because they're very fascinated by our children.
Yeah, yep, I've heard many of our reports and encounters where little children have seen these creatures, and the parents did not believe that they'd go out to play with these creatures at such a young age. I've been in contact with a woman for the last year that she doesn't normally talk on shows at all or even come to them, but she's been kind enough to share photographs with me, and when her children are playing on the trampoline, sometimes she'll just pull up the camera and take a photograph because she feels like she's being watched. And then when she goes and looks at the photograph, there'll be one standing behind a tree peeking around it just 40 feet from her grandchildren bouncing on the trampoline. So they really like watching our children. Yep, I agree with you. And I was actually thinking about bringing my 5-year-old out in the woods, but I would not want to have her traumatized at that young of an age because it's just the movies that I watch and everything like that. She gets scared of, kind of hides behind me. So I think I'm going to have to wait until she gets a little bit older to do something like that.
Well, we got a couple of questions about you guys. We actually had somebody that was asking us some just general questions. Somebody was wanting to know, are you guys, I don't think you guys are pro-kill for Sasquatch, right?
We want to protect these creatures and make sure that they get protected.
And do you guys usually stay in an RV, a tent, or anything like that?
When we were in Ohio, we brought a tent with us and we camped out in Ohio in a tent. In 2002, I got a Astro van fully extended and we camped out in that. As far as in Minnesota, my mom had 38 acres of property up in a place called Hinckley, Minnesota, where I've done some research up there and found arches and bends and bows, T formations and stick formations, which was on a property, so we could just spend the night in there. When we go out to the places as far as the wildlife preserves and state parks, we just drive out there. We'll meet at a certain point or at a certain spot, and we'll all kind of do a caravan to the area. And we spend hours and hours out there. Today we spent 5 hours out there with just me and the first Billy Jack from YouTube.
Oh, and we have somebody asking both of you guys on the phone if you guys have ever heard or seen of a Sasquatch bearing any kind of a body or dead or anything like that.
I do believe that they do bury their dead. I've talked to this guy that also has a Bigfoot radio show here on Blog Talk. Actually, Smider was just a guest on his show. I think it was maybe this last Thursday. It was Steve's show, Smider. And from doing the research and listening to Steve, is that yeah, they do bury their dead. There's also a guy out there named Henry Franzoni that says that can also agrees with probably what me and Smider both think is that yeah, and a lot of researchers do think that they do bury their dead, and they do mark their burial sites as well.
Well, if I may give my take on that question.
Yeah.
I've talked to plenty of people. There's been a few who have seen that done. That will not come out and talk in public like we're doing. You can go to shadowfolk.com, and there's a link there called The Totem.
Yep.
You can save that photograph. And the guy that runs that website, he got very fortunate enough to look down at a ravine and take a picture, and you can see them doing what appears to be a funeral process, ritual, whatever they do, because there's the body of a dead hairy person hanging from a tree that's embedded in a stone statue type thing. It looks like an effigy carved in a granite wall. You can see that on shadowfolk.com. But I've talked to people who have seen that done. And of course, I won't mention their names, but I know that they bury their dead. They've done that throughout history.
And
I have to agree.
Right now, we have somebody asking. I know I should have asked this from the beginning, but what got you into Bigfoot research and all that sort of thing?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, that's a totally good question. Actually, it all started when I was just an infant, and my parents would take me to the zoo here in St. Paul called Como Zoo, and we go to the gorilla exhibit. And whenever they tried leaving me or leaving with me from that exhibit, I just start crying and screaming and having a fit because I was just so fascinated with them at such a young age. So basically I grew up, childhood, going to school, looking at pictures and reading books and hearing the occasional sighting coming up on the news of Bigfoot. And when I got old enough and I had, the income to do so, I got more into it, did more research about it, and decided, hey, it's time to go out in the woods and see what we can find. Lo and behold, we went to Ohio, like I said, back in 2001, me and 2 other friends, and got chased and found footprints and seen eye shine.
Oh, really?
Excuse me?
we actually on our AOL chat room, we're getting also some other I don't know, messages. We're getting a bunch of messages. People are asking us right now does your team actually do different types of Bigfoot? Like, do you guys ever travel to California or out of the country or anything like that? Or
I haven't been to California. Out of the country, no. We'll basically stay Midwest, I guess you could say. Ohio, Minnesota. If there's, we'd like to get back to Ohio again and do some more research out there with a new team member and just show them some of the areas where we had good, I guess you could say, contact areas. Show them the spot where we take it back to where we got chased, where we found the footprints back in 2001. Take them to the road to the state park where we found footprints. We can find the roads again where we found the geomutilations. Take them to a road that's called White Gravel Road on the last night of 2002 when we were in our van. Believe that we had a Bigfoot probably about 15 to 25 feet away from the van growling at me. And I was the only one up at the time. Everybody else was pretty much tired from hiking around. So they were already asleep. But it was a growl that was not a dog growl. You can definitely make that out. Or a coyote, or from the canine family. Or from, the bear family as well, I guess you could say, just for the fact, because in 2002 we went down there in March, this month, back in 2002. So, but it was the earlier part. So, if there were any bears, they should have been hibernating down in Ohio.
Actually, another question that's actually coming up a lot is people are asking your newest team members, Squitch, in the chat room. They're asking, how long ago have they joined and all that sort of thing? Like,
I'm sorry.
Like, they were asking a little bit on a background on Squitch.
A little background on Squitch?
Yeah.
It's not mandatory to go out. If you right now, there's a lot of things going on in his life that are more important than Bigfoot, and he's always welcome to join us when he can. And it's not mandatory, but he is a part of the team, and we hope to get him out there. We're looking at this coming Sunday, like I said, and get out there and do some research. And I think he has a lot to offer. And just from what I've seen from him, when we were on that expedition on the 8th out in Carlos Avery, he has very good eyes, very good ears, and he's a great guy all the way around. He knows what he's talking about. He's done his homework on Bigfoot. And I can't wait to get out in the field a little more with him. And from what I've seen, I asked him if he wanted to join, and he said yes. And so there you have it. We have another member that I think that can contribute a lot to the team, but it just takes time. I'm not going to go into much detail because everybody has their own personal lives, and it's not for me to get into his personal lives. One thing I can tell you about is that when I've seen him out in the field and doing his what we were doing, he was doing it good.
If I may interject for just a moment, and then after I make this comment, I'll go ahead and drop the phone. I just wanted to give my 2 cents.
Oh, no problem.
I'm going to put a link in the chat room, and this is a story from a man that went with a Cherokee elder just 4 years ago to a Cherokee Indian burial ground in Tennessee, and saw leg bones, like from the knee to the ankle, that were 3 feet in length, because the Cherokee shared their burial grounds with the hairy folks. And you can read the story and take it for what it's worth. But you'll find many stories out there like that where the Indians shared their burial grounds with the hairy folks. Mm-hmm. Anyway, thank you for taking my call, and I've enjoyed the show. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll have to speak to you in the future, probably in a couple weeks.
All right, talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, talk to you soon. Right now we actually we have a couple callers and a couple questions that are coming in, and people are asking us right now, is there a certain website that you guys have, or you guys MySpace or anything like that?
That's it. It's just our MySpace, www.myspace.com. M.N.B.R.T. And that's where you can find us. Leave a message. You also can contact us at Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team at yahoo.com. And we're also right here on Blog Talk Radio. You can. I do have a profile set up here as well.
And also, we have a couple people that are asking right now, do you guys have any pictures or like evidence up area on your website or MySpace where you have any of your casts or anything like that?
Oh, wow. Well, to tell you the truth about the cast that we have taken, when we were in Ohio and found that footprint, we didn't cast it. We were so tired from hiking, we just thought we'd do it the next day, but that night we had a rainstorm and it washed all the prints out. The castings that I have taken in Hinckley, they were broke. Yeah, so that's why I didn't even bring that up. As far as pictures, we are taking pictures right now on expeditions, and hopefully I can get the software to run on this computer I'm using so I can upload them. As far as what we're taking pictures of is getting tree signs and stick formations like that. It's hard to really capture these creatures on a camera of any kind, even if you try to trick them with a tree camera, because they know the woods like the back of their hand, their home, and everything like that. I'm sure everybody knows everything in their house and where it's at, except probably for some loose change in the couch that you lost sometime down the road. So when we're in their house, which would be their woods, and people are putting tree cameras up in there, they're watching us. They watch every single movement in the woods, but it's up to them if they want you to see them and so forth. If they want, I mean, it's just really, really hard to get a Bigfoot on video tape or on the camera. But back in 2001, we did have one. We did catch a Bigfoot on videotape. Long story short, where the videotape is right now, and what happened to that videotape, a team member of mine had it. He was going through some hard times himself, so he had everything of his, including the videotape, in his sister's storage unit, and she was negligent to pay her bill, and so they took everything, confiscated everything, including our videotape, and so I don't know where it's at right now, to tell you the truth. It's one thing that still bothers me to this day. But anything other, more newer information like that will definitely be getting held on to by me. So we did have a videotape of the Bigfoot crossing the road. Just to touch up on that. It was when we were first entering Wills Creek, Ohio. We were coming to a fork in the road. You had your option to go left, you had your option to go right. To the right side, there was a cop car going through some other car's trunk. We were turning left. We all were looking to the right while we had the camera going straight while we were turning left, crossing a bridge that goes over Wills Creek. As we were looking towards the cop car, kind of checking out to the cop car, not paying attention to anything else, there's a Bigfoot on the other side of the bridge that runs across the bridge from left to the right, goes under the street light, and goes down to the creek area that flows under the bridge. There was also a smaller one that was going to follow the big one, but kind of got confused and went from the left to the right and then stopped and went back from the right to the left to go under the bridge and meet up with the bigger one. When the bigger one got down there, something black shot out across the road, basically letting us know that they were down there, because that whatever it was came flying out. I want to say a cat or something like that, a big cat was down by the wall, had to, and it flew out from under the creek area and went off towards the left side. A smaller Bigfoot went under the bridge to meet up with the bigger Bigfoot. And this creature was black. They both were black, standing in the proximity around 8 feet, I'd have to say, for the bigger one. The small one probably around 1.5 feet. And the bigger one took 3 steps to get across the road. The smaller one took more, of course. And it was pretty fast. We didn't even know what we had on videotape until we came back to Minnesota. And we just sat back and watched, and not thinking we caught anything, and then we watched that clip, that part of the video, and there it was crossing the road. It was on an old VHS video tape recorder, and so the clarity and the contrast was not the greatest. It's not like we have now as far nowadays as video cameras being digital and stuff like that. It was pretty distorted, but you could definitely make out the figure, 2 legs, tall, very hairy, take 3 steps across the road, start to go down towards the side of the bridge, going towards the creek of the water, and the other one wanting to follow it, changed his mind and went back the other way.
Well,
that's pretty amazing.
I know we have a couple of questions that are coming into Tim's computer here. He was showing me a couple of them. I'll hand off a couple of questions to Tim since I've been letting him talk a whole lot the show.
All right, hey, no problem.
Okay. Well, let's see. We got one question here. It's asking where do you think the Bigfoot's living conditions are? Do you think they live in caves or just many different places, or?
I would have to say the second one, many different places. I guess what would be available to them. They could be subterranean. a lot of them are subterranean. If there's a cave system, that'd probably be your best bet to find them. But if you're going to their cave, they will definitely know that you head in there and try to discourage you any way that they can. A lot of them make nests in the woods with a bunch of trees piled on top of another one, forming kind of a shelter, like a lean-to, but a lot more sophisticated, I guess you could say, for a lean-to. I don't know if you guys ever seen a Bigfoot nest picture, but you could find it. I think it was on a Monster Quest episode with Don Keating when they were in Ohio at Salt Fork, and somebody stumbled upon a nest there, and they tried to recreate one, and they said it was just way too hard. They had to take too much time, and I think Jody Cook from the Ohio Bigfoot Research Center, I think that's where he's from. He was the one that I think found it or tried to recreate the Bigfoot nest. Also, Ken Gerhardt, he was on Monster Quest and Legend Hunters, where he was out in Monster Central, and he has found a Bigfoot nest area out there as well that was made with down trees and a lot of sticks piled up on top of it. And he crawled in there, and it was really roomy enough to fit a couple of the creatures in there. So there's a lot of different ways that they can hide and live. They can stay under rock overhangs. Some stay, like I said, in caves, subterranean, and also they can make their own nests somewhere out in the wild as well.
But yeah, because I've always thought the Bigfoot nests are pretty interesting. Because I know a little bit about them. I just know that they build them and they could use them as like temporary shelters and everything. But I've also heard that not only do they live in them like temporarily, but I've even heard that like some of them live in them like permanently. Some live.
I mean, I guess it all would depend on the structure. Caves are pretty permanent. I guess if they're out making nests out in the woods, you could have a tornado or a windstorm that could blow that over. And rock cliffs, rock overhangs are also a good area that they could are a pretty stable area for them too. So I guess it would all have to depend on the structure and how sturdy it is, and if it is subterranean or out in the woods or even on a rock overhang that they call home.
Listen, we have a caller on the line real quick, and you're on the air.
Hi, it's Nancy.
Oh, hi, how are
you? Nancy.
Hi, Abe. How are you tonight?
We're doing good.
Tired.
Good. Hey, that Monster Quest nest that you guys were just talking about, I actually have that videoed. We came across that. I was up in the woods with another fellow researcher from Ohio, Tim, and we came across that, and we videoed it and put it on the YouTube.
Yeah, you guys were out there in Salt Fork too, weren't you?
Yeah, Bernie and I, we just spent, last night we were out there. We spent 2 days out there and hiked 12 miles actually today, going out through the woods. The only thing we come across today was a small, like, juvenile old footprint. That was it.
Huh.
Interesting. Anything recent going on with you in out in Ohio and with you and Bernie? I seen that footprint video that you guys had, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was 10.5 inches by 15 inches
16.
long with a. Yeah, well, I got 16, Don got 15. He's the official guy. So I come out and measured it. He found thermal ridges in there, and the hill was 3.5 inches wide.
Yeah, and I'm kicking myself because when we were out in I want to say it was in Coshocton or Guernsey and Muskingum out there, and when we were camping out, and we found that 18 to 18.5 inch long footprint. We did see the dermal ridges in it, but like I said, we were all just too tired to go back out there and cast it, and plus it was getting later in the evening, so we were just going to wait for it to do it the next day, thinking that it wasn't going to rain, which it did, and wiped all the detail and just totally destroyed the whole print itself.
You know what, we checked on that today when we were out there, and as much as it has stormed and rained through here, and that track was on a hillside going up, and we couldn't get a good cast or anything on it because it was on a hillside, and the heel wasn't in there to hold anything, so you just couldn't cast it. But the toes went in pretty deep. And it's still there. It's still there. Not as good as it was.
That for when you do find another one, or even if it's still there, what you can do is go out there with like little pieces of thin wood and make a square box around it and just overfill the whole area with cement.
Bernie already said next time we'll do that. He said we'll do that. We can do that and fill it in like that.
Mm-hmm.
When you're excited, you don't think about it and stuff. But but it was cool because there were some people, some tourists, and I forget where they were from, like Florida or Georgia, and they came in and they were saying that they heard that it was a Bigfoot area, and I said, hey, you want to see a footprint? So we took them over, and they thought that was really cool. They got to take some video of the footprint and everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then I really couldn't make out that one that you guys had in the dark. It was just really too dark. But you circled it, and it was supposed to be a brown one behind the tree.
Yeah, I actually saw that one. Now, since February 9th, as we went out, that's the one that was actually hugging the tree. That one was huge. That was 50 feet. It was just off the side of the road. It was 50 feet. We had such a good view, we didn't get to see its face. Because it was a back view. When we come back and we turned around, because I kept telling Bernie, did you see that? Did you see that? So we turned the car around because he didn't see it. He was driving. And we turned the car around. We come back, and I don't know if it was trying to hide from us or not, but it was hugging the tree. And
that's pretty cool.
Then the other day, we were out there, and there's outhouses out there on the horse camp trail. And there was one just standing there. It was brown. It wasn't as big as the first one we saw, but it was brown, and it was a lighter brown, picking twigs.
Yep, that's the one I was talking about. You remember your most recent one that you sent me. Yeah. I mean, you guys are doing good work out there. Definitely keep it up. When you seen that one or these creatures, did you feel any state of panic or shock?
No, not at all. No, there was no smell. There was none of that kind of stuff like that. No, I was so excited when I seen it. I actually started reaching for my pocket, and I thought Bernie was behind me. I thought he got out of the car, and I'm yelling, you have my camera? I said, oh, my God, look, there's one standing right there. And I grabbed the camera out of the car, and I'm yelling at him to come out. We went down, and it was playing games with us. You could hear it over here, and then we would hear it, so we'd videotape there, and then you'd hear it over to the left. I don't know if it was throwing things or it was making us think that it was over there, or if it was actually over where it was at, and then it would move back over because it was starting to get dark, and I just happened to video, and I got the pictures of it, the ones that I did.
Good deal. Good job. You guys keep up the good work, and I can't wait to meet you guys. Are you going to go to the conference on May 2nd?
Yep, that's my birthday.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I'm going to start going backwards in time now. I'm not going to go forward anymore. I've had enough of that.
All right. Well, yeah, you definitely keep up the good work over there, Nancy, and thanks for backing up that whole nest thing. I mean, it's awesome once you find a nest and see the nest, and just keep on doing the documentation. I mean, that's all we can do really until you know, I mean, I've talked to you about this before, but I think it'd be time to get a camera that has some night optics or night vision on it or night shot.
Yeah, I would love to. I wish I could afford one of those, but I don't do credit cards. If we don't pay cash, we don't get it. So.
I hear you there.
Okay, well, I'm going to get off here in case somebody else tries to get in, but you guys have a really great show tonight.
All right.
Bye, Nancy.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. She's awesome.
I actually haven't talked to her before. We've seen her around, but we actually haven't talked to her.
She's really good.
Having her on the show.
What were you saying, Tim?
It was nice having her on the show, though.
Yeah. People were asking us right now, do you think that there's a difference between the Sasquatch that you see in Ohio and Minnesota? Like, do you think that there's a major difference, or do you think it's the same animal, it just migrates, or?
You know, as far as migration, at this point, I would have to say no, they don't migrate. If they did, you know, I think they could follow deer or elk or something like that, or blueberry seasons or stuff like that. Because in the wintertime, I think they are more carnivorous in the wintertime, and they're more foraging in the wintertime, just in hopes of finding food. As far as them migrating, I would have to say, right now, in my opinion, that's kind of up in the air, something I'd have to do a little bit more research on. But in the area where we're at, doing a lot of the research that we are currently doing, every time we're going there, okay, well, just let me say this. In Minnesota right now, we're finding that they're not migrating; they're staying in the same area. I don't know if it goes for the same in Ohio or any other state, but I can tell you right now, in the area that we're researching, is that they're staying in the same area.
Well, that's good though, because at least you know, like they're not wandering off.
Well, this past episode of Monster Quest, the one that was on Bigfoot Encounters, actually was taking place in Minnesota. They were talking about, I think, Bigfoot hunting elk, and they thought they were following the elk and migrating with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, see, they did say that, and if they were doing that, they'd well, during the summertime, I think it was where the elk are at higher climates. And when it's the wintertime, they go down to a lower climate elevation, and so it's very possible. But here in Minnesota, we're finding that these ones are basically staying in the same wildlife area. So I mean, there's more than one type of Bigfoot. There's different families, different clans, what have you, different tribes, if you may. And so, I mean, to each its own out there, I guess. So.
Exactly. Yeah, and again, I think it all depends on like the terrain and the climates of each different state and tribe and everything.
Mhm. It was just like us people. I mean, us Minnesotans are more used to cool or calmer weather instead of some people down from Florida or Texas or even out in Nevada.
Yeah.
We're getting some links in here. I'm getting a little sidetracked.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have any kind of big investigations or anything going on here soon?
I do have a couple things under my hat. There's some private property up in, I'm just going to say, Beltrami County here in Minnesota that I've been asked to call and check out. There's been a long report history of encounters and footprints up in this private property area. Other than that, we are, just going to keep on doing what we're doing. Might be going out to an area called Cloquet, Minnesota, and checking out an area out there. There's been sightings out there. We'll check out a couple of lakes areas as well, like the Sturgeon Lake. There's Bushman Lake, Spirit Lake, Wendigo Lake, Wendigo Island. A lot of lakes here in Minnesota. I mean, we're the land of 10,000 lakes, and there's a lot of trees and a lot of pines and a lot of forests here in Minnesota as well. I'd like to get back up to Ely, Minnesota, and Superior National Forest, and go through there. And I mean, it's just phenomenal up there. I mean, there was a Bigfoot spotted up there. I want to say January of '08. That was on video. That was on YouTube, but the guy has taken that video off. For what reason, I have no idea. So I do have a lot of plans for us, and yeah, you know, we're hoping to stay pretty active, and if you know, the time willing, and if all the, you know, financial stuff goes through and everything is good, then yeah, we'll be pretty active.
Yeah. And also, we have 3 minutes left in our show, and I was going to see if you wanted to pitch your websites or any kind of media or anything that you'd like to mention.
Definitely. The website is, like I said, is www.myspace.com/M.N.B.R.T. You also can get a hold of us at the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team at yahoo.com. Other than that, just like to say what's going on to our new members, Squitch. We use them as bait here and there. And like to say, just kidding, Squitch. Like to say hi to Nancy and Smiter, you know, all our friends, Poppy, Tiger Cat, Bison. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people here in the chats that I see in other chat rooms, and I think we're all in it for the same cause. And sharing is caring, and when you start caring for these creatures, you'll get them protected. So if we all just start sharing the information and the techniques, and one day these creatures will be protected.
I think that they should keep passing these laws that they have all over the United States, that they've been passing actually to protect the Sasquatch. I know not all states have them, but I know some states have them in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think on that, Tim?
Yeah, I think they should definitely, because I know there's some laws, like even, for example, like lake monsters, I know there's some states that pass laws saying even if the body is ever found, you know, like, that we'll know these animals are real and we should keep them protected.
Mm-hmm.
I think the same should go for, like, the other animals, too.
But yeah, on that note, we have, like, under a minute left in our show, and again, I'd like to thank Minnesota Bigfoot Research for joining us tonight, and I'd like to thank all of our callers and people in the chat room, and everybody that's asked questions. We are going to have the Minnesota Bigfoot Research actually on one of our other Sasquatch shows coming up in a couple of weeks. Because I know that actually our Sasquatch shows are some of the ones that are actually most frequently requested. Again, I'd like to thank Minnesota Bigfoot Research for going on the show tonight, and I'll let Tim and everybody say their goodbyes.
Yeah, thank you everybody so much for being on tonight.
Yep. Good night.
Yep. Thank you guys for having me as your guest. And when was the next show going to be with me again?
Probably towards the middle of next month, probably like the 20th, somewhere around there.
Oh, okay, 420. Alrighty, I guess guys give me an email and let me know. And I'd like to say thanks for having me as a guest, and it's always been fun, and can't wait till the next one.
Alrighty, thank you.
Yep, bye-bye.
Thank you guys at the song already. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, it seems we have a problem. I would like to introduce Bigfootspad Paranormal Investigations Team.